Americans, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you join me in a moment of silence? Thank you very much. Please remember to put your phones and pagers on stun or silent. And do we have any citizen concerns? Hearing none, can I get a motion for agenda approval, please?
So move.
Second.
Motion by Potabom, second by Ung to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Items 4 through 8 constitute a consent agenda of routine action items to be considered by one motion. Items pass unanimously unless a separate vote is requested by a board member. Item 4 is approval of the minutes for the April 3rd, 2018 meeting. Item 5 is approval of claims. Item 6 is human resources. A, approval of reclassification of human resources department senior clerk to a clerk 3. Item B is authorization to initiate hiring. 6C is approval of deauthorization of a county position. Item 7 is community and economic development, consideration to approve local match for the Iowa Small Business Development Center's Iowa Board of Regents Innovation Fund grant application. Item 8 is secondary roads, consideration of resolution for annual weed destruction order.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by Ung to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 9, Mark Nera. We do have a 4:45 closed. That's not to mean that
the budget
you will take that long.
Yeah, the budget should go quickly, and the program will only take as long as you folks want to spend. So, as far as the budget, it's a direct reflection of the Woodbury County board budget as far as our department. The only change in this budget in expenditures compared to the budget that we filed as a whole county is that I added $100,000 to repay the general fund for the purchase of the Breeze gravel pit. So the item for building and grounds will require an amendment for us to pay that expenditure back to the board in that first year payment. But it is in the DOT budget, so we won't have to amend the DOT budget as well. What we had proposed to do was that the secondary road department would pay the county general fund back over a period of about 5 years. So that $100,000 payment would be the second payment. We'll be doing one this year. We're going to try and scratch together $150,000, probably $368, so that we can get that payback started for that property. But I recommend approval of the DOT budget.
I'll move that approval.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by Taylor to approve Iowa DOT budget. Any other questions? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Item 9B, consideration to approve FY 2019 Woodbury County 5-year construction program.
With your leave, I'll try and fill your 10 minutes before you have to do your other, and we can be done with this fairly quickly, I hope. The program is basically continuing to move projects through the 5-year program. We do have a new project in this program in coordination with the board's instructions. The Haskell Avenue Bridge has been added as a project for fiscal year 2019. Letting on that project is likely to occur sometime after January 2019. We're still kicking out the projects that are in between there, and we're well along to the design stage, so we're completing all of that work. There are some overlapping projects that are shown in here that are both in in the fiscal year 2018 and 2019 program. We're trying to kick those out for letting, but we may not make it by June 30, so we need to make sure that they show up in both programs so that it doesn't require a later program amendment. We did not include the frontage road project. This is one that's been requested for consideration by the city of Mobile. I should say, I don't concur with the need for that project. It is one that's of great interest to them. When we last met with the city of Mobile, we had requested that they come to us, or they were supposed to bring back a plan to me for participating in that project with the county. To date, I've received nothing on that end, so we have not pursued anything further on that project work. Fiscal year 2019 is the last year we'll have any federal aid projects that'll be coming through the 5-year program. Federal aid money has been replaced with what's been called swap money from Department of Transportation. In the 2017 legislative session, the legislature allowed state money to be spent on secondary roads, which opened the door for us to have our federal aid projects now paid with state dollars. This does a couple of things for the counties in that it shortens our project development time. We should be looking at a 6-month reduction in project development for what were formerly federal aid projects, just in going through all the steps with concept approvals and some of the very preliminary work done is required for federal aid won't be required any longer now that we're using state money instead of federal money. So we have 2 federal aid bridges this year, one on County Road K67. That's Hancock Avenue. This would be south of Mobile. They call it the Crooked Bridge. There's an old truss that sits about 4 miles south of Highway 20 along Hancock that will be replaced. It's proposed right now for I think it's an October letting, so we'll be looking at calendar year 2019 construction on that, all likely. The County D50 grading and paving, the last 2 projects that'll be done with the $1.3 million a year special project levy are included in that fiscal year 2019. Depending on how much settlement we see in that road, we may wait until the 2020 fiscal year to actually commit to pave. We do show both of those in 2019, and again, that will close the projects out for the special project levy that was done. We currently have 3 of those projects that are the last 3 bridges are under contract. Work on those will be starting in May, so we'll see the majority of that work closed out this year. Was there anything in particular that in your examination, or taking a look at the map, it was our typical shotgun pattern at the county as far as distribution of where the projects are at? If there's any you have any specific questions on, we can kind of go over those. We have 3 resurfacing projects, 2 of them on County Road D38, so from Bronson to the Mobile Blacktop will be overlaid in, I think that's fiscal year 2019. From Mobile Blacktop to Anthem will be done in fiscal year 2021.
What's a project like that cost again?
You're running roughly $300,000 per mile, so I can look up the exact cost of it, or our estimated cost of it. That includes cold in place recycling of the pavement and then a 3-inch overlay on top of that. It's between $1 and $2 million for the whole project.
Yeah, 1.4 on one of them, it looks like.
Yep.
1.5.
One of the comments that I've had when speaking with the public on that one is they'd like to see us flatten some of the hilltops and widen shoulders, but that would more than double the cost of each of those projects. We just don't have the money to do that right now, but we can sure give people a lot better pavement and ride quality than we got right now. So that's the goal of both of those projects with the overlay. The other overlay project would be on County Road D25, which is Old Highway 141. That would be starting near the old German church, which is County Road H67, and running to the town of Smithland. We did some fairly heavy rehab work on that 2 years ago. We had the center crack starting to separate. It was a hazard, I felt, for motorcycles. That's a very popular and scenic route for recreational riders. That was kind of a wheel catcher is what we were concerned about. So we went and did over 9,000 feet of center line repair on that project. And we'll be doing cold in-place recycling there as well in that top asphalt pavement, so we can knit that crack back together in those areas that weren't addressed.
What was the estimates to do the frontage road from Dollar General to like K47 or 67?
Dollar General to K67, we were looking at about $1 million, and that's because of all the staging that needs to be done with maintaining access for 2 houses in the trailer park and a couple of businesses, along with necessary sidewalk work. We'll have to move, I think we'll have to move all of the hydrants that have been placed out there farther back to make the paved shoulder and curb and gutter work. That's also one of the other reasons it's a little more expensive than our normal jobs is, because we do curb and gutter on the north side to allow for that drainage and to minimize the right-of-way taking, impacting the businesses that are there. And then we would be a standard highway section on the south lane. But we'd also go paved shoulder there as well. That's the proposal at this point in time with that project, should it come into the program.
We are at 4:45 for our fixed time, set time on our next topic.
And all we'll need is a motion to approve the 5-year program.
I'll move to approve the 5-year program.
Second.
Motion by Radig, second by Taylor to approve the 5-year plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
We're at a set time of 4:45 for item 11, which is Community and Economic Development. Public hearing and second reading to amend the text in the land use summary table of allowed uses of section 3.03-4 in the Woodbury County zoning ordinance.
Thank you, David Gleiser, Community Economic Development Director. Second reading.
So read.
Hearing no public input, Mr. Chair, I move that the public hearing be closed.
Second. David, have you received any input since the last reading?
Nope.
Motion by Taylor, second by Radig. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0.
I'd move to
Third and final.
I'm
sorry.
I'm sorry.
move to approve the second reading of the amendment as proposed.
Second.
Motion by Taylor, second by Radig. What was your motion again, Jeremy?
The second reading as proposed.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Any reports on committee meetings?
Mr. Sheriff, we have Gary Brown's item.
Oh, dang, I was trying to get out of Gary Brown's item. Thank you. Item 10 that we glossed over a couple minutes ago, authorization, emergency services authorization for chairman to sign transport agreement between Woodbury County and Siouxland paramedics.
Last year when all the EMS stuff started, we did a little assessment of what all impacts were, and one of the things we discovered was we had an agreement with Siouxland paramedics to do mortuary transfers for us, but we couldn't find an executed written contract. So what we've done is negotiated a written contract with them. It's been reviewed by Josh at the county attorney's office. It's been reviewed by their attorney. We have 2 signed copies by their executive director, the board staff. Provides for monthly payments to Siouxland paramedics of $1,000 each month for the next 12 months, or effective July 1st. That's on a limited number of cases, anywhere in Woodbury County that the law enforcement examiner's office determined need to be taken to the medical examiner's laboratory for examination. It should be any out-of-hospital deaths. And it's basically the medical examiner's call whether they want to see them in their facility or not. Siouxland's been doing this for us for about 30 years. We were just not able to locate a written contract, so we put together one. Requires Siouxland paramedics to respond within 30 minutes in the city and within 120 or 130 minutes, 90 minutes in the county. 90 minutes in the county. One of the suggestions we've had to local law enforcement was when they're working one of these cases and they know they're going to need the services of Siouxland is to give the comm center a call so they can give Siouxland paramedics a heads up that there's a call in the making for them. We started doing that a couple weeks ago, and I think that's resolved some of the issues with wait times at the scene. I think it's taking care of the wait time issues. I think it's this contract's been shared with the police chief, the fire chief, the sheriff's staff, medical examiner. Nobody has any issues with it, so our recommendation is to approve it.
So what was our contract with SBI before? Was it $30,000 a year?
No, it was $12,000 a year.
Okay.
We had several agreements with Siouxland paramedics. We had the medical examiner's agreement, then we had a jail agreement, and then they had an agreement with the sheriff's department to provide medical resources during SWAT operations. I don't know what the conditions of those other contracts are. This is the only one I've been working on.
So we were already paying them $12,000 a year?
Yes. It's already been, we've been paying it. It's been in our budget. They've been providing this service. There was just no payment.
This isn't what we removed for the paramedic services.
Pardon?
This is not the same as what we removed. Okay.
This is a non-emergency. These are all death cases.
Sure. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just going to say, I'd never want to do it. 12 grand a year is not enough for me. Go ahead.
Gary, can you speak to the previous SBI payments that we had that were somewhere around $30,000, $40,000? Was that a cost-sharing agreement that no longer is going to be executed in the future?
Well, there was a couple of different agreements with Siouxland paramedics. There was this one.
Right.
There was $12,000, I think, a year to transport prisoners from the jail.
Okay.
I don't know what the status of that agreement is now because I think maybe those are being handled by Sioux City Fire as 911 calls.
Okay.
And then there was an agreement between the city and the county, not between the county and SBI, but between the city and the county,
Okay.
that Donna Forker and Denny had forged that allowed for us to help with the subsidy, cash subsidy that was being given to SPI. We were putting about $40,000 a year towards that cash subsidy, and that no longer is happening.
Okay, that's what I was. Thank you.
Denny?
Yeah, and on that issue there, they have not requested $35,000 yet, and I'm not going to go over and ask for it. If they don't request it, we won't give it to them. They have not requested it.
Well, we're not utilizing it, right?
Utilize it. They didn't utilize it last year either.
Right. So if they can.
We had 35 late.
And that request comes actually through the city. Our agreement is with the city, not with SPI.
Okay. Thank you. That's what I was
will
thinking.
move the authorization for the chairman to sign.
Second. Motion by Reddick, second by Potabom to move the authorization. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay.
The only question is whose wheelhouse does it go into so next year it gets done again? Is this something you want me to shepherd year after year, or do you want the board office to take it? So it gets rebooted again next year, because this is a...
Well, it's probably going to be an annual contract, as
It's
I'm
gonna be an
seeing
annual
it.
contract.
I would say they probably need to come before the board every year.
Yeah, but I'm just looking for whose wheelhouse should it be in? Should it be in mine or Dennis's or Karen's or...
I like it in yours.
It's fine. I just want, if I'm going to be responsible for it, I'll take care of it and get it renewed every year.
Sounds like he volunteered.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have a problem doing it. I'll put it in my workload then and make sure that it gets handled.
Okay. You don't foresee any big changes coming, other than,
I really don't.
okay.
No, our working relationship remains the same today as it was before some of that.
Thanks, Gary. Now can I move on to reports?
You may.
Let's go to reports on committee meetings, please. Sure.
Supervisor Taylor and I participated earlier today in a historical committee meeting that we are now doing weekly until the May 1st start of the centennial. It's been a lot of work crammed into a little bit of time each week, but it's been very helpful. Been getting most of our work done in this month. Continue to be appreciative of local media in Siouxland for their in-kind contributions to the project. Today we even learned of a photographer that will be helping us during the event as an in-kind contribution. Work will continue in the next week or so on the website to update it with a list of items for sale, along with prices of souvenirs that the committee has decided to use for its fundraising and novelties, things like that. We will be, again, training volunteers the week before the centennial for tours, which I think will be a great thing to get out in the community and get some interest drummed up so that there can be crowds at each hour on the hour. Is it May 3rd that we have the tours, and May 4th we'll have children's tours. So we're looking forward to that and thankful for the volunteers stepping up to lead those tours.
I just say stay tuned. Tim Samuelson, the curator of the city of Chicago, who was called by the Chicago Tribune as the only thing good about Chicago politics, will be here. And he is nationally renowned, as well as Richard Guy Wilson, who is the professor chair in the University of Virginia, architectural history. And so that is going to be a great thing. And we had a good event. If you notice the contents, not all of them, but of the time capsule from yesteryear, 1916, 1918, are displayed. And we are hoping to, with the grace of our elected officials, display like photographs for the next 100 years as we emplace that time capsule. The other thing I'd add is the audio-visual tour. Mark Munger and Kay Witt and all of these good folks in preservation, that is going to be a stellar, I think, award-winning audio-visual tour which can live on past the centennial. So stay tuned to that. And then May 5th is the banquet. You have until April 15th to reserve. Do I have that right? 25th. But I'm trying to stoke a little bit more interest by saying April 15th. $50 per ticket per person. Tickets are going fast and furious, so if you want a ticket to that exclusive event with Tim Samuelson, Guy Wilson, dignitaries in the rotunda and presentations showing the immaculate building, please make those through Karen or Heather in the board office, and we'll look forward to it.
This would be a good time for us to mention that you mentioned the time capsule and the display upstairs. We want to have some similar items put into that, and one of those items is photographs of that kind of mirror what was taken back then. So this would be a good point for us to mention to the board that we would like to get a group photograph next week before this board meeting, was it?
Yeah, I think we're going to see either next week or the week following based on the photographer's availability. So
Matt Gill will be in there twice because he is now the auditor and the recorder.
So I have to comb my hair for that week.
Dress up a little bit.
Any other reports?
I have two, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So as you all know, the county, I think, graciously reached out to the city regarding the Ag Expo Center and this transformative, nearly $42 million project that stands to, $72 million project that stands to leverage nearly $14 million for the city of Sioux City in this area. At this time, I think the response is to be on standby, whether or not their financing from the Ag Expo Board requires that up front. And so I think the offer is genuinely appreciated in the spirit of good county-city cooperation, but we'll be on hold. So for right now, I just mentioned that our past motion still stands over the next 10 years from local option sales tax to fund that at $150,000 until further notice. So, and then I have one last one.
I'm surprised.
Okay. So continue to look forward to the exemption process through DHS. Those materials are being wrapped up today. We had some interesting information in the paper regarding how much was actually spent in Woodbury County versus the reality. I would just urge people to talk to Siouxland Mental Health, talk to Unity Point, talk to our providers, and get the real story about high-quality mental health services so that we can move forward as a community. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Taylor, what materials today did you mean application materials?
Right, that's correct. So the application materials for being exempt for 1 year. Obviously, we had a local representative who advocated otherwise, something I don't believe that either Sue or Plymouth even want, but that's the application materials.
Okay. Marty, Keith? Nothing? Second round of citizen concerns, please. Hearing and seeing no movement. Board concerns. Sir.
Supervisor Potabom and I may potentially be meeting with the CWA and looking at an MOU for the Fallen Heroes Resolution.
It looked like I'll be able to make the meeting, but I read what you had.
If you have any suggestions, I know you had a couple of things, so.
Concerned about making it too much red tape, but it didn't look like it was.
Okay, great.
But I'll double check it again. I read it this afternoon. So.
Okay, thank you for your help.
No? Okay, guys? I had a gentleman approach me today with interest in reopening the cafeteria. I spoke with, I think, Marty and Keith a few minutes before the meeting, if there was any question. I did mention it's Dennis too, and he thought remind me that's on the Iowa Commission for the Blind. Was that you? What?
Say so in this bad, I believe.
They have, how does that work? What is it? That's okay. So that's as far as it got, was just a short conversation today in the lobby. Secondly,
I'll also note that he spoke with us on separate occasions. For the
separately, I think all the board's going to be invited to an Anthon Fire Station Fire Rescue Open House. Anthon Fire Rescue took over the Titan Machine Building, or Titan Machinery, down in Anthon. And this event is going to be on Saturday, May 26th, Memorial Day weekend, during Anthon's Kids Days from noon to 2, with a brief program and ribbon cutting at 12:30 p.m. Formal invites will be sent to all supervisors. I bring that up because I want to make sure that if 3 or more of us are there, that we are well versed in having that be known as, could be taken as a meeting. So I plan on attending at the moment, so those are my board concerns. Anybody?
Same.
Sure.
Same.
and I might be, so just we'll post it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it probably wouldn't hurt. Can you take care of that for us? Would you take care of that for us? Thank you so much. Do we have any other board concerns? We are adjourned.